Welcome to the I Love Coaching podcast, the show where we help coaches, entrepreneurs, and leaders build businesses that create massive impact. I'm Adam Roach, alongside my incredible co-host,
Jess Weber, and we're here today to bring you the best strategies, mindset shifts, and real-life success stories to help you level up in your coaching journey.
Whether you're launching your coaching business, scaling to 6 or 7 figures, or just looking for inspiration to push through, this podcast is your go-to resource.
We're bringing you expert insights, real talk, and actionable items every single episode. So if you're ready to take your coaching game to the next level,
then let's dive on in. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the I Love Coaching podcast. I am your host, along with my co-host,
Jess Weber.
Jess Weber.
Oh, that's sorry. The finger.
The finger. Not everybody can see the finger, but I'm pointing to you with the finger. Yes, we have Adam Roach and Jess Weber here. I'm super excited about this podcast. This one is right up our alleys. We do this every single week with our community, the coaches. Jess, what are we going to do?
We are going to talk about auditing your business. And I know that sounds a little less
audit is just a little scary.
Audit sounds like a dirty word, right?
It does, yes.
It does. But at the same time, it's a very easy word to use to talk about looking overall at your business. And I want to start with some positive things. So an audit doesn't have to be the IRS.
What's the synonym for audit? Hold on. The synonym for audits are you're screwed, you're going to jail, and no, I'm totally kidding. That's not what it says.
Would you stop it?
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was having fun with that word audit. The word audit is a little dirty, but it's in this case, we're going to use it in a very productive way.
Yes, 100%. Okay, so you want synonyms. Let's go with inspect, review, survey, check, analyze, scrutinize.
It's too late. We're going with the word audit. It is too late. We're going with the word audit. We already set up the listeners for the word audit. Yeah.
I know, that's true. But that's my point is the term of audit is there to help you look at things in a positive light, in a neutral light. It doesn't always have to be negative, that IRS type thing.
I know,
so the first question we always ask, because we technically have 4 questions that we ask every week. The first one is, how you feeling? That's a little bit more difficult. Yeah. In a word, right. That's a little more difficult to audit, right? Because you might not actually know how you're feeling about the whole year, looking at it in a weekly or a daily basis, unless you're a journaler and you document that in some way.
And if you're a tracker, right? If you're a tracker, you can tell how you're feeling.
That's true.
Yes.
Granted, you probably have a feeling for the year.
That's
true. Do you feel like you were successful, or do you feel like you didn't hit your goals, right? So there's lots of things that you can audit inside that feeling, but I wanted to spend some time with the other 3 questions and really just focus on one today. Yes. And the second question that we ask everybody is, what is or were coaching wins from your day, your week, your month, your year?
That's right.
So
in the community, when we do that more in line with the week, right? What was your one win for the week? Now, we say one win for a couple of reasons, right? Because some of these coaches, they will have wins for days and let them just roll off their tongue, and we could probably be there for the entire 90 minutes that we have the call. Though we like to say the one win. So in this case, Jess, let's have this conversation be about helping the listeners as they are in this space of auditing their wins. Let's teach them how to audit their wins. I like that.
Okay. I like it too. Well, and again, I wanted it to be more practical and more tactical than talking about feelings.
Yes, agreed.
What do you do daily, weekly, monthly, Adam, that helps you kind of look at your year in review, since I'm not allowed to use the word audit anymore?
No, we're definitely using the word audit. I mean, it kind of makes the podcast a little maybe scary or intimidating, right? We're going to keep using the word audit. So here's what I do. John Maxwell taught myself and Dana and everybody that was in the exchange crowd. This might have been in 2000. Well, it was the first time we experienced this, probably back in 2016 or 17, maybe 17. And this is what John does every year, is he tells everybody to pull out their phones. And so he has everybody pull out their phones. And he says, I want you to scroll up to January. And he says, from January through today, and normally when we were doing the exchange trips with John, it was in the middle of November time.
Okay.
And so what he had you do is go through every single picture. Now, I don't know, Jess, how many pictures you've taken or how many you have on your phone. Let me look on mine, because I know that Dana's is obnoxiously large. Mine is, here we go, photos. Wait a minute, this might be bad. I have like 3,300 just selfies on here. Just that might be a
That's
problem.
painful and terrifying to hear.
Like,
I don't know that I can handle that.
I have, let's look here. Let's see here, 9 to 16. I have almost 20,000 pictures on my phone. And I don't know how many are from 2024. Though this is what John has us do, is he has us go through the entire year, find the photos that are learning lessons, that are meaningful to us, that are win-based pictures. Again, in our world, it would be family time, family trips, the kids winning tennis tournaments, coach camp, the summit, those types of things. Now, this is what John has us do. Secondly, after you have identified your top 5, 10 pictures, really don't go more than 10 pictures, is now you have to go through each one of them. And what did you win in that picture? And what was your learning lesson? And it's so powerful. So when we're in the room with John and he does this for himself, my goodness, there's such teachable moments in the pictures and how the pictures have impacted you and what you learn from that moment in time. And what did you take away that was either a win or an opportunity to teach somebody else something? So that's step number 1 of what we do.
I love that. And that's such an easy tactical thing because like you and I have discussed before, maybe not on the podcast, but in general, you are very much a journaler and a reflector in a written sense. So you might have something tangible to go back and look at and reference. I, however, am not. It's just something that has never been something I can stick with long term. And so I am not typically a writer, but at the same time, I do take a ton of photos. I've got a small child, so you better believe I have a couple of photos in my phone because I do. I document all of that. Plus, with ADHD, I screenshot everything I want to remember. So there's a lot in my phone, and that is such an easy thing to do is go back and scroll and look, by week, by month, by year, and see what pops up. So
this is what's fun about journaling, though. And let me just speak from my experience as it relates to fun. So I do journal. I journal and I track. There's many things that I track. I track our fitness, my fitness, the number of days at the gym. This year, the goal was 280. And I think today was, because I just surpassed the 280 mark like a couple days ago. So I think today was like day 283. I track the miles that I go for my walks. So, and this is kind of fun. This time last year, end of last year, 23, I had walked nearly 1,700 miles. And as of today, I was at like 1,698 miles walked. That was last week's number. And so I'm going to surpass that, which is really cool. So when you track stuff, and I just use the fitness space as an example, you can see your progress. I also journal, and John taught us this, and many mentors have taught me this for years, and I've journaled for years every single day. What I'll journal out is, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? How am I reacting? And what am I grateful for? And a lot of times in the journal space, I'll also track certain things, whether that is back in my recruiting bridge days, I would track the number of subscription users we had. In our I Love Coaching community, I'll track the number of community members that we have specific to the goal. And what's really fascinating, each year I go back and I read every single page. Before the year ends, I read every single page. And what's really neat for myself to see is that I get to see where my lack was. I get to see where my thought process of I couldn't achieve, right? Or I thought that maybe it was a goal was like a dream goal. And yet as we get closer to the end of the year and I'm looking at the tracking mechanism, we're like right on track or on target to hit the dream goal, right? And it just always every year blows me away. Every year blows me away. By the way, I also track the number of payments I have left to my ex-wife, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole nother podcast.
So what I'm hearing you say is by tracking, that does help you identify your wins very quickly.
Absolutely.
And clearly, yeah. I think it helps you keep those wins top of mind, or those goals top of mind, those dream goals, which I love. But let's circle back, because I want to make sure we stay on point with helping coaches audit their year to really identify coaching wins specifically. Because let's face it, just like you and I did a few seconds ago, we can rabbit trail sometimes and we can get distracted sometimes.
Yeah, but let's define what a coaching win is, right? In my opinion, here's a coaching win: your growth. Right? A coaching 100%. Win is your growth. And what is growth? It's all relative, right? Growth is relative to whatever you define growth to be, though you have to track growth. Because here's what's going to happen. There is nothing special about January 1, 12 a.m. When that ball goes down in Times Square, 10, 9, 8, all the way to 3, 2, 1. There's no difference between 11:59 of 24 and 12 a.m. of 25, though you better be different. You better have grown. You better have done whatever you said you were going to do so that you can be a different person showing up the next year. Sorry, I got a little aggressive there, but that's true, right? That is true. Those are wins. Your growth is your wins.
I love that terminology, thinking about it in terms of growth, because so often we have these thoughts that center around like a financial win,
right?
So that's or a social media win, like I went viral, or I got so many followers, or I did this thing. And we don't often look at wins as having impact or having significance in somebody's life. And so I think what you're sharing in terms of journaling, in terms of looking at those photos, those kind of more tactical and practical approaches, it helps you balance both those things out. Because let's face it, December 31st or January 1, we may not be prepping for tax season yet, but we darn well tootin' will know, hopefully by April at the latest, how much money we made in the previous year if you're not a tracker.
Sure.
But that's not the only win. For me, monetizing coaching was not about making extra money first and foremost. It was about helping others and having an impact in others' lives. And it was a way to do that while also paying bills.
Yep.
And so it's an interesting thing to work with different coaches across a variety of industries, because their wins are going to be different and the things that motivate them are going to be different, just like their clients are also going to vary drastically.
Sure.
And so, for me, coaching wins may look very different than coaching wins for another coach, because my clientele is different, my end goal is different, my significance or imprint I want to leave on the world is different. Right. And so I think what you're saying, about understanding your growth and the growth of your clients is such a key point here, because it's not always the dollars and cents in the bank.
It's not, and it is, right? So let's be honest. When you get into coaching, whether that's one-on-one, group coaching, or evergreen, whatever your product is, I'm going to say that your growth is what you should be tracking. Though in the general sense of making money, you better go make money. Because here's why. If you want to grow next year, you better go plug into more who's that are going to cost you money to be around. Right? So you better go make more money every single time so that your who list can continue to expand and grow. Right? let's just take anything in our world here. It costs money to bring John Maxwell to the summit, right? It wasn't cheap. And had we have not made money, we could not have put ourselves in a place to be able to have a phone call with John and say, hey, will you come be a speaker at our summit? So growth is you, and you better be tracking your dollars and cents for them to grow as well. Because here's what I'd love for y'all to do is next year, you should increase your budget 100% in your coaching growth space if you're a coach. 100%. 100%.
So you mean double it?
I want you to spend an exorbitant amount of money to grow yourself. That's right.
I love that.
Exorbitant amount of money.
Well, I forget who I heard it from first, but I've heard it multiple times, especially in the last couple of years, about the places that you should have an unlimited budget by comparison to budgeting for everything else are personal development and your health.
Yep.
And I think that is a message that I needed to hear, because it was one that I was not acting that way. And so I was actually seeing fewer wins in those spaces because I was watching the dollars and cents and minimizing the decisions that I made because of the financial impact. And yet, like this year, my health has been far surpassed because I quit worrying exactly about where the money was going to come from, knowing that if I felt better, it was going to trickle down into everything else. So a health win for me became a coaching win for me.
Right.
Because I had a story to tell people about habits and productivity, which is what my coaching business is all about. And so it's a fascinating thing to tell yourself that you don't need to budget in that, because it does help you in the long run with every other thing you're trying to do.
Well, let's go back to the acronym inside of I Love Coaching. The community is REAL. What does REAL stand for? Relevant, experiential, authentic, and leader. Right? So relevance is been there and done that. Relevant, experiential. You've experienced something. So let's just stay with those two things. If you're not increasing either one of those two as a coach to grow yourself, and if that's not in any of your pictures, right, where you've increased your relevance, where you've increased your experiences, here's what's going to happen. Your client will outgrow you. It's simple.
Yeah.
Your client will outgrow you. Your churn rate will increase because you're not growing yourself, yet you're growing your people, and your people will eventually get to the point where they are on the same chapter as you. If they're on the same chapter as you, they will surpass you, right? And here's what, so I'm gonna give a funny. Hire Jess to be your coach, because there's not a chance in hell you can outread her, first of all. So she will always be series ahead of you because she's the fastest reader I've ever seen on the planet. Though in all seriousness, if you're not relevant, if you're not increasing your relevance, if you're not increasing your experiential opportunities, therefore you're faking it, right? You're going to fake it because therefore you're not authentic. You can't bring authenticity to a call of things that you haven't done before. There's no way in heck you're going to be able to lead these people, which is influence. What is influence? Getting people to take action, and you will lose a client. So I know, again, a little soapbox-ish there, though I want people to hear that in the space of their wins. Going back, let's look at your wins. If there aren't many growth-based wins for yourself, let's go back to your budget planning for 2025, and let's say, okay, fine, what do I need to invest in so that I can grow my relevance, grow my experiential space, and then become a better, authentic coach that I can lead and help people make changes ASAP?
Oh, I love that. I love that. And if it's not what do I need to invest in, it's who do I need to invest in, or who do I need to invest in terms of their space to be nearer to, have proximity to.
Our last podcast was about who, wasn't it? Or is that one coming up? I don't remember. We recorded a podcast.
You're out of order. Stop confusing
I don't know
people.
where I am. We'll record a podcast on who. Go listen to it. Yeah.
That's actually a few coming out because we recorded January in advance and now we're re-recording
Oh yeah,
December.
that's right. Sorry, I got mixed up there.
So don't give away things. January's good though.
January's going to be badass. Mm-hmm.
Point being, I love that phrasing of what or who do you need to invest in to have more growth wins,
Mm-hmm.
because just like we said, whether it's your personal development or your health, you need to be in proximity to people who are chapters ahead of you.
Yep.
You need to be continuously growing in those spaces. And honestly, you can't do it by yourself. And I think that's the other thing that I wanted to mention in this wins conversation is that having a community, having accountability partners, having your own coaches, all of those things, the relationships make the wins feel bigger. So if you're a coach right now and you're coaching independently, whether or not you're being paid, because let's face it, we know too many entrepreneurs who coach for free. If you aren't celebrating those wins with other people in their coaching journey as well, that can understand the pain that you go through, the highs, the lows, the ups, the downs, then I would really challenge you to find some who's that get that and help you, because they're going to, by celebrating their wins and celebrating your wins, you guys are going to grow together.
Yeah.
And that's part of the reason that I think I fell in love with I Love Coaching as a community, was because there was no competition, even from the people who were coaching in the exact same spaces, because of the fact that we internalize that real acronym so closely.
Yeah.
I truly think that there is something to be said for creating your own unique coaching business, but working alongside so many other coaches.
Well, so let's go back to something that we learned this past year, specific to the win conversation, and that is understanding your significance and understanding your success. Mm-hmm. Right? As you go back and you audit your wins from 2024, where did you have success? And again, success is relative. You can define success, but in this case, let's talk about money. Let's talk about where did you have successful wins? Whether that was with clients, whether that was investing in yourself, where did you have success-based wins? And then the significant factor comes with where did you have significance? Because I'm going to challenge the thought here of someone being a coach. This is my own opinion. It's probably not even going to be, it's not probably going to fall well, Jess, with many of our listeners. I'm going to call you an amateur. If you are not charging for coaching, you are an amateur coach. You're not a professional coach. You're an amateur coach, right? Because what is an amateur in the sports space not get to have? Money, right? They can't have money. So therefore, you're an amateur coach. Now, in the famous words of my late father, who was an Olympic swim coach, and that was a professional coach, right? He would always tell me when I would get off the tennis courts or the basketball court when I was a kid. Never really said this to me in the business space, and I find that ironic as I'm saying it right now. He would always say to me, and I kid you not, I came off a Rolex tournament I was playing in, and I didn't win any money. You know what he said? He said, "Not bad for an amateur." Right? I made it all the way to the quarterfinals, and he said, "Not bad for an amateur." And so I'm sharing that with all of you right now, that if you are a coach and you're measuring your wins from last year, and your success does not measure up to the level of income that you believe you should have received, I'm going to call you an amateur coach. Become a professional coach. Become a professional coach in 2025, and make sure your wins are both in the significant space and a success space.
Yep. And if you need help with that, it's as simple as DMing Adam or I on Instagram, the word amateur. I mean, truly. So Adam R. Roach on Instagram, or Coach Jess Weber, 2 B's. DM us amateur, and we'll have that conversation with you about how to level up and how to create a space of successful significance in 2025.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with this. Put your ego aside, right? Take what I just said, and don't be a baby about it. If you're not charging people, don't be a baby about it. But if you want to make some money here, here's what I would suggest. You are bigger than what you think you are, because you're helping people and they want you to help them, We're talking coaching now. I'm talking solely being a professional coach. And you can charge people for your time. Actually, you should charge people for your time and your experience, for sure. I get a little fired up about this because I talk to so many coaches that say, I coach my team. That's cool. Maybe your team members give you money. I coach people who just want help, but I don't charge them. How many times have we heard that coaches coming into the community saying, I am a coach, but I just don't charge anybody?
I do not have enough fingers and toes between the two of us.
Yeah, you're an amateur. Stop being an amateur and become a professional. Now, become a professional because the world needs you. The world does need you. The world needs your experience right now.
Yes. And for anybody who has the objection that there are too many coaches in the space that you think you want to coach in or that you're currently coaching in, that is complete and utter bullshit. And it kills me when we hear that just as much as the other of I'm not being paid to coach people.
Right.
Because nobody else has your past history. Nobody else has your past experience, and nobody else has your brain. So you have the opportunity to help other people that are like you. And if you're not, then you're doing a disservice and you're not allowing other people to win through you.
Yep.
So
for
full
sure.
circle.
Yep.
Let us help you win so that you can continue to help others win.
Yep, for sure. So let's land this here because I think that the winning auditing your wins is massively important for setting yourself up for winning the next year, right? And what we want to do though is I may have been a little direct on this podcast, though I want you to look at your wins this way. We're not looking to fix anything right now. I want you to step into your wins in a gratitude space, right? What do you appreciate the most about what you won this year in either your success or your significant space? In your pictures, in your journaling, in your tracking, what are you most appreciative about all those things? Because you've been blessed, right? All of that are blessings. And instead of going in the opposite direction, which I may have gone a little bit here, though in the same time, I think I was just being a little more direct because gosh, there's so many big opportunities out there for people and they just can't see the forest through the trees. And that's their own limiting beliefs. Though I want you to audit your wins in a way that you are looking at it from an appreciation standpoint of what you did have success and significance in.
I love that.
Good. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that's it. And you know what? We'll continue the conversation on the other questions that we were mentioning because I said there were a total of 4 in next episodes. But honestly, I think it's really important to just take time to focus on one thing at a time when you're looking at a whole year in review. So it's okay to take space to audit things and audit from a place of gratitude.
Love it. Absolutely. Okay. So if you like this podcast, fantastic. Follow us, give us some feedback, and subscribe to the I Love Coaching podcast because guess what? We are going to keep bringing you value every single episode. I know I love this, Jess. I know you love this too. And I'm excited for our next podcast. See you, everybody. Thank you. Bye-bye.